Hi students, today we are going to start Unit 12, Why Classification of Basic Science textbook, the biology part of Standard 8. Before starting the today's topic, let me show you a picture.
So this is the picture, and what is this picture? What this picture shows? Yes, it's a kitchen. And what type of a kitchen is this? Yes, it is a well organized kitchen because each and everything is well arranged and well placed. Now, I will show you another picture. What you can see in this picture? Yes, a library. And what is the peculiarity of this library? Yes, the books are in a library, the books are well arranged. So, even if it is a library or a kitchen, we can see the items are categorized, isn't it? The items are well organized or they are categorized in a systematic order. See, in the first picture, you can see that in this kitchen, the utensils are they are well placed. They are arranged in a particular order. The curry powders or the other ingredients they are placed separately in separate shelves, so to find it easy. And also in the library you can see the books are arranged. So when entering to a library you can see that the different subjects, there are separate sections for different subjects, books of different subjects, and in each section further divisions are there. See, if you enter library, you can see there are books, separate sections for literature and separate section for science. And coming to the science section, you can see there are separate sections for physics, chemistry, and biology. And in the biology section, you can see the books are again classified as botany and zoology, and the books are arranged. In each section, the books will be arranged in alphabetical orders of the names of the authors. So, you can see a systematic arrangement to make or to find the books easily. So, this means the systematic arrangement or organization that indicates here we are classifying things. That means here the books are classified, and the kitchen, the utensils are classified, or the ingredients are classified. So, we human beings have a tendency to classify things around us. So, that act or process of classifying is known as classification. The act or process of classifying is known as classification. So, today we are going to discuss the topic classification. So, here is an activity for you. So, these pictures are of different animals such as tiger, housefly, zebra, rat, fish, snail, parrot, crow, elephant, lion, cow, butterfly, and prawn. So, just observe these pictures carefully and categorize these animals. The animals that you see in the picture, categorize them into two groups. Categorize the animals given in the picture into two groups. How will you classify these animals? On the basis of what? See, on first sight, how can you classify these animals into two groups? Just with one look, how can you classify these organisms? Yes, you can classify them on the basis, firstly, on the basis of their size. So, on the basis of the size, these animals can be first categorized into two groups, and they are, have you written? Let's just verify your answers. Here is the answer. The group 1 consists of the animals such as lion, zebra, tiger, elephant, horse, and cow. And the group 2 consists of comparatively small sized animals such as butterfly, housefly, snail, prawn, fish, crow and parrot. So this is the first classification. So now observe the animals that you have listed in the class or the group 2. So categorize the animals in the group 2 into further 2 groups. So we can see in group 2 there is butterfly, housefly, snail, prawn, fish, crow and parrot. Now you have to further categorize the animals in the group 2 into 2 groups. How can you classify the animals such as butterfly, housefly, snail, prawn, fish, crow and parrot into 2 groups again? On the basis of what you can classify? Yes, on the basis of their ability to fly, you can classify these organisms. How? Which are the 2 groups? Yes, here it is. You can see this is the 2 groups into which these organisms or these animals can be categorized. The first group shows the animals which can't fly. They are not able to fly. That is prawn, snail, fish and rat. And in the second group, you can see the animals which can fly. So it includes crow, butterfly, parrot and housefly. So this is a second classification that is based on their ability to fly. So there are 2 possibilities, the animals which can fly and which can't fly. Now observe the animals in the list 1, that is the group 1, such as prawn, snail, fish and rat. Can you classify these animals in the group 1 again? Such as, can you classify prawn, snail, fish and rat again into 2 groups? How can you classify? Yes, based on their habitat you can classify. That means based on the place in which these animals are living, you can classify them. You can classify them into 2 groups, such as group A, living in land, that is rat and snail, and group B, animals living in water, that is fish and prawn. Initially I have shown you a lengthy list of animals, and now by 3 steps of classification you have cut shorted the list. So in the final list you can see there is only 2 animals in each group. Okay, so you have classified the organisms based on their size, their abilities to fly and their habitat. So this classification means the systematic arrangement in groups or categories based on similarities or differences. Classification is the systematic arrangement in groups or categories based on similarities or differences. Here you can see that you have classified them into 2 groups based on similarities or differences. The organisms or the animals having similar features comes under the same group or falls under the same group. But those animals which differ from each other belongs to different groups. Okay, so based on similarities or differences, you are systematically arranging in groups or categories. So that is classification. Simply, classification is a systematic arrangement in groups or categories based on similarities or differences. So that forms the basis of classification. And if more specific criteria are adopted, classification becomes more accurate. So for classifying these animals, if you are choosing more specific criteria, the classification will become more accurate. Now, next activity. So, so here is the picture of some animals. So can you identify which are these animals? Just observe and find out. Okay, can you see? Yes, there is dragonfly. First there is dragonfly, then spider, then cricket, butterfly, snail, yeah, then housefly. Okay, so you are familiar with all these animals. Okay, now observe this illustration. So these animals are classified based on some indicators. So just observe this illustration and note down your findings in your science diary. How these animals are classified. Have you finished? Okay. So here the organisms such as butterfly, spider, dragonfly, cricket, snail, and housefly, they are classified based on the presence or absence of the wing. In the first you can see they are classified based on the presence or absence of wing, then on the number of wings, and then based on the peculiarity of their legs, and finally on the peculiarity of based on the peculiarity of wings. So these were the criteria used here for the classification of these animals. So as we are using more specific criteria that made the classification more accurate, we can see in the initial list there are about 6 animals or 6 organisms. But as the classification, more specific criteria used in classification, it becomes more accurate, and in the final list you can see each list is having single organism. So you can get an this classification helps you to identify the typical features of each organism, and you help to identify each organism. So here you can see that the this by study this by classifying these organism, the study of organisms will be easy. So the study of organisms will be easy if they can be classified according to suitable criteria. So that this shows the importance of classification. And that classification based on scientific method or based on scientific indicators, we can classify organisms. And that scientific way of classification is known as taxonomy. So the taxonomy means it is the branch of biology that identifies organism, classifies them on the basis of similarities and differences, and names them scientifically. So simply, taxonomy is the scientific approach of classification. It is the branch of biology that identifies organisms, classify them on the basis of similarities and differences, and names them scientifically. And the criteria or the scientific indicators that we use for identifying and classifying plants and animals are known as the taxonomic keys. See here in this illustration, you can see that the scientific indicators or the criteria that are used for classification are wings, the presence or absence of the wing, the number of wings, then the peculiarity of legs and peculiarity of wings. So these were the criteria or the scientific indicators that were used for classifying these organisms. And such criteria or the scientific indicators that we use for classifying plants as well as animals, and also for identifying them, we use some criteria or scientific indicators. And such scientific indicators or criteria are known by the name taxonomic keys. So taxonomic keys are criteria or scientific indicators used for identifying and classifying plants and animals. An example for such taxonomic key is dichotomous key. So dichotomous key is an example for a taxonomic key. Because in a dichotomous key, there is two possibilities of selection for each indicators. In a dichotomous key, there is two possibilities of selection for each indicator. See, this is an illustration of a dichotomous key. Here you can see the organisms are classified first on the basis of the presence of wings. So that wing is the indicator and it is having two possible selection. That is those with wings and those without wings. And also if you're taking the number of wings, there is also two possibilities of selection. A pair of observable wings and two pairs of observable wings. So coming to the peculiarity of legs, there is also two possibilities. Legs with equal length and legs with unequal length. And then coming to the peculiarity of wings, there you can see transparent wings and non-transparent wings. So here each indicator is having two possibilities of selection. And such keys or such indicators that we use is known as having two possibilities of selection is known as dichotomous key. So this is a example for a dichotomous key. So here you can see that these animals are first classified based on the presence of wing. So by looking about to the for the presence of wing, the animals included are the dragonfly, butterfly, housefly, and the cricket. And those without wings are snail and spider. And then considering the number of wings among the first category, there is the housefly is having only a pair of observable wings, but others such as dragonfly, butterfly, and the cricket is having two pairs of observable wings. Then this dragonfly, butterfly, and cricket is again classified based on the peculiarity of legs. So this butterfly and dragonfly is having legs with equal length, while cricket is having legs with unequal length. Then again this butterfly and housefly, it can be further classified based on the peculiarity of wings, because dragonfly is having a transparent wing and butterfly is having a non-transparent wing. So in such a way, or by utilizing more specific criteria, we can make the classification more accurate. And here, for the purpose of classification, we have utilized only the external features or the external morphology of these animals were utilized for the classification. See, here these animals are classified based on the external morphological features such as wings, number of wings, and the peculiarity of legs and the wings. So here we have used only the external morphological feature. And is this external morphological feature is the only criteria for classification? Is that the only case? No. For the purpose of classification, the characteristic features of organisms, their external and internal features, genetic constitution, evolutionary relationships, etc. are to be thoroughly studied. So, not only the external features are considered, but we can use internal features, their genetic constitution and evolutionary relationships. And on the basis of all these features, by thoroughly studying all these features, we classify organism or we identify an organism. I think now it's clear about what is classification and why classification and what is taxonomy. Now let's check the significance of taxonomy. Why taxonomy is significant or why it is important. Taxonomy reveals the relation between various groups of organisms. So by undertaking taxonomical studies, it helps to identify the relation between various groups of organisms. It helps to acquire a general idea about the plants and animals of various geographical areas. So it will help to generate an idea about the plants and animals of various geographical areas. Moreover, taxonomy provides evidences that are helpful to explain the stages of evolution of organism from simple to the complex. So we all know that the organisms have evolved from simple to complex. So initially there were simple organism, and from that simple organism the complex organisms have evolved. And this taxonomy or this taxonomical study will provide evidences regarding the evolution of organisms from simple to complex. So that's the significance of taxonomy. It reveals the relation between various groups of organisms, and it helps to acquire a general idea about the plants and animals of various geographical areas. Moreover, taxonomy provides evidences that are helpful to explain the stages of evolution of organisms from simple to complex. So today we have discussed about the topic classification. Simply we can say that classification is the act or process of classifying. Classification is the systematic arrangement in groups or categories based on the similarities or differences. So the main point is that based on the similarities or differences, organisms are categorized into groups or categories. They are systematically arranged in groups or categories. So that forms the basis of classification. If more specific criteria are adopted, classification becomes more accurate. Then we have discussed about taxonomy. Taxonomy is the scientific approach of classification. It is the branch of biology that identifies organisms, classifies them on the basis of similarities and differences, and names them scientifically. Then we have discussed about taxonomic keys, that is a criteria or scientific indicators used for identifying and classifying plants and animals. Example, dichotomous key. And in a dichotomous key, each indicator is having two possibilities of selection. And for the purpose of classification, the characteristic features of organisms, their external and internal features, genetic constitution, evolutionary relationships, etc. are to be thoroughly studied. Then the significance of taxonomy. It helps to reveal the relation between various groups of organisms and to acquire a general idea about the plants and animals in various geographical areas, and also to study to explain about the stages of evolution of organisms from simple to complex. Now there is an enrichment activity for you. List out the organisms in your surroundings and classify them into different groups based on similarities and differences. So you can find different organisms in your surroundings. So just identify those organisms or list out those organisms and classify them into different groups based on similarities and differences.